Hi, I'm Kesten Rono, and thank you so much for being here for day 57 of A Course in Miracles. Today we will continue with review 31 through 35 on our way to 50, and then on day 61 we will begin with new exercises, and we will also begin again with the foundation principles, starting with number 1. But for today, we can practice with great ease and simply absorb a couple pages, 5 principles, yet again. First, I'd like to reread one of the review comments from yesterday. God is in everything I see. Behind every image I have made, the truth remains unchanged. Behind every veil I have drawn across the face of love, its light remains undimmed. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will, united with the will of my Father. God is still everywhere and in everything forever. And we who are part of him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. That God is in everything we see. Every image that we are making, instead of seeing simply be noticing what is our illusion, the story we are telling ourselves that it keeps us separate from knowing perfect peace and perfect safety, recognizing our invulnerability. Behind every image, that which we are casting in darkness over the light, that which we are coloring on top of God's canvas, that which is talking over God's voice. This image that we are creating, a reflection of ourselves. That's why our thoughts are our causes and the effects are what we see around us. Everything we are seeing is a reflection of the image that we believe to be true for ourselves. I see attack thoughts. I see people doing ill will, but I'm beginning to see them as simply sick. Further and further down the direction of darkness and illusion. And I'm beginning to have some kind of appreciation for noticing ultimately their process, even if it seems to be very, 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 very dark. That they too are just separate from the light. They are confused. And they are announcing that they are ill. And they lie. And their actions display their lies. So perhaps I am airing out my own discomforts with my own lies, since that's what I'm noticing around me, that every image that I have made, behind it, in the light, that we appear to be blocking with darkness, knowing that that is impossible. That light illuminates darkness, but we are tricking ourselves to believing the antithesis, that behind every image we are doing with our image making, creating some kind of structure and reality for us to see ourselves and be wondering why we can't find more meaning and order in the world. Behind that, the truth remains unchanged, unconditional, always just is. That is what the truth is. That's what unconditional love is. It's just simply there. That's why this is not a difficult process. That's why all of this can be done with ease. And that's why I believe that ultimately, when this is clearer to us, and we look back upon the way we have been thinking, we can do so with kindness. And we can laugh, because it was always right here, always the whole time. It was just a matter of experience that we are having, that as our internal state changes and we feel and see through love and truth, that we see everything enveloped in our holiness, if we can accept that that's what we are, that everything around us can be imbued with peace too. I don't know if that means we're suddenly in a utopia, or if it means that we are equipped to be the utopia so other people may notice it and they can experience what it is to be in time and space physical and wake up to their own light and love and the opportunity to see something differently. I believe that's what we are creating, that we are bringing the peace and quiet with us wherever we go. And eventually we will learn that we extend far beyond this one spectrum of awareness that is inside of our physical body, that ultimately when we die we go somewhere anyways. that is beyond this one point, this one viewpoint. But this is the natural projection, that we are projecting this idea that we are only this one thing. And we do this from this physical lens, which has to care for itself and therefore is worried about its death, and therefore can align itself with mal-aligned, misintentioned ideas, attempting to preserve itself, which is natural. This is the projection we are creating. And behind it, behind this idea of just our body identification, behind it is an unchanged truth of love waiting for us to notice it, something that we are able to wear and feel now, and recognize the light inside of ourselves such that there is no way to harm us. Yes, obviously, you could be watching this and thinking, I could hurt you right now, and I wouldn't argue that you could. Of course, you could oppress me if you wanted to. But could you absolutely require that someone forget about the light that they have discovered within themselves? I don't believe so. Not unless they wanted to forget it. Behind every veil I have drawn across the face of love, that here is love attempting to see, and we are covering it in darkness. Why would we do such a thing? Well, we wouldn't knowingly. At least that's what I would hope. That we are doing it because we believe that there is something that we are afraid of. And here darkness is coming by and saying, hey, if you just give me your mind, I can give you tons of power. Watch how easy it is. And this slips us down some immoral path, opposite of what we believe God is or what a foundation idea of a religion might teach. And we end up building in darkness. And we build with more and more pain, thinking that we have more power by more control and by removing the livelihood from other people that we somehow gain it. But this is a trick. This is us pulling the veil of darkness over love, because that's the way that we believe we must see the world. And then from behind it, behind this veil, everything looks dark. It's obfuscated. And we need some kind of miracle to wake back up. That behind every veil I have drawn across my face, the face of love, light remains undimmed. Just because we have closed our eyes does not mean there is not the sun outside. That there is light, even if we cannot see it. That love is always being expressed, even if we are not aware of it. And we admit that there are many things happening in the world beyond our five senses that we call real. It is okay to give some investment in the invisible, which could just be the hope of an asset rising over time in some way of measuring it that would show you that it has actually risen and that not everything else has been depleting. I believe that everything is selling something that it doesn't have, everything that is doing that, offering you an untruth, hoping that you will take a untruth as the truth, that if it must convince you of a truth while withholding information, that's what darkness is, that's what a lie is, then this is what a psyop is. Believing something by not having access to everything, or being convinced that what is being omitted doesn't matter. We see that today in the news, with information being released to public, with much of it being omitted. And how can we even trust that it is what it is? Perhaps all of this is just a fractal of the same trick, leading ourselves back down distractions, deep into lies, searching for meaning in a very overt way. And yet everything that we are clamoring for is not even in our best interests, that we are building in darkness. And we cannot see the light by looking further and further and further into darkness, that we are constantly just shrouded behind the same veil, imagining that we are creating anything, ramping up our fear and anger, our cycle of attacks. And the way out is to slide the veil aside and to simply see that right where we are is full of light. Beyond all my insane wishes is my will. Insane. Yes, it's truly insane. We are insane to be imagining that we are ever going to find meaning through some cycle of attacks, that we're going to find peace through attack. How does that make sense? How would we find health by giving ourselves some less than natural poison. How does that make sense? Perhaps it provides some temporary change, and from there we might be able to have a root cause awakening. But how does it make sense to attack to find peace, to be fearful, to find love, to feel bad and imagine we'll feel good, or to wish it for somebody else, justifying it because they have attacked us first? That something about justice actually is guiding us down the wrong path, that it creates the idea that they are victims. And I'm not denying that someone has been done unto, but I'm saying from a mindset perspective, it coaches us into a style of thinking that removes our ability to be creators of our own happiness and mindset. This is the trick. This is our insanity. We continue to build in darkness and think that we will somehow discover light. The beautiful part is that the light is right there. If we can just ask ourselves to realize that this way of being is causing us more upsets, and more upsets probably are not worth the trade-off of just, oh, I was afraid of the unknown. That in the unknown could exist your wildest abundance, absolute truth and love. If you cannot find those in the world that is known, maybe it's worth casting off into the unknown, taking an outsized vote of confidence and investment in oneself. And even if we mess up, if such a thing is possible within time where we are learning, even if we mess up, we would have learned something. And if we are devoted to this idea of feeling love and moving in a direction where is the world and perspective that allows me to know peace on a regular basis, rather than this cycle of attacks and upsets. I have been fearful, so I haven't wanted to pursue, and instead I'm settling for some idea that feeling ill is like better because it is known. No longer. These are our insane wishes. But beyond these is my will to see things differently, your determination, your conviction, your devotion, the idea that you would like to find somewhere outside of the known system, a system in the unknown, therefore, where you feel peace and safety, freedom from worry, you know love and truth. What you are building with is creating more abundance all the time, and therefore you are incentivized to be a creator. That your will is united with the will of the Father. What would his will be? Would it be for you to find more destruction and disease? Or maybe it's to know what he knows. In the realm of knowledge, it's to know with simple ease what is true and what is an illusion. That would be happiness, to simply spend no energy verifying a lie. These lies costing an abundant amount of energy to stay alive, and they are verified with simplicity. There's at least one protocol that exists like that today. Perhaps those things are worth our savings, and perhaps this idea is worth our life, that our life savings would be invested in something that would be truth and love, creating abundance. Perhaps that is the will of God. That's what he would want for his son. That's what he would want for you. Not for you to fall into illusion. Not for you to fall into sickness. Not for you to wake up to this idea of a spiritual possibility only upon physical death. Perhaps we may feel it now. Perhaps it's something we may share. And perhaps this is one way of raising up the vibration, the frequency of what's going on around us. And this idea, who knows what effects it might have. That we could be the cause of someone to change one small item about their life. And that this could have another effect on someone else, being a cause for them to wake up to a small change in their life in the direction of love, rather than the same day, every day, waking up tired, going to bed pissed off. Instead, we wake up excited to be here and go to bed with gratitude. That we continue on with a will to see things differently. God is still everywhere and in everything forever. Everything. me, this glass behind me, these lights, everything created from some kind of atom and molecule. Where did they come from? Eventually, we're going to have to say the ether of some sort. What is that place? How is everything around us imbued with something invisible from somewhere invisible? What does that mean? What is God? If everything around us, we're told from this book, has the light of God within it, and that we may notice it, and if we can notice it in anything, we can wake up. It's in everything and in every aspect of everything. It is the invisible, creating the invisible space that we know is there from physics, or we're told is, that makes up all of the very physical things that we see around us. What a puzzle. What if it was made of light? What if it's a kind of light that we don't see with our eyes the way that they are tuned? What if it's a different kind of light that we see with true vision, and seeing that light is the most obvious evidence, irrefutable, immediately verifiable, the most obvious evidence that we are looking at a holy truth? It's simple. The Holy Spirit, it sees the light here and it does not see it there. That is the truth, and that is the ego. And all of it's okay, because love and light and life remains with truth unconditional, wholly unchanged, simply all the time. If it's unconditional, unchanged, it just is. And any story that we can tell in darkness on top of it is meaningless. It's meaningless, even though it feels from here like it's the end. That's what the ego is afraid of. That is the only tool that it has, is to sell you the end over and over and over, so you supply your allegiance to it and fight. That God is in everything, forever. Where is forever? Beyond time, forever. This is the realm of the eternal. When does time end? When the learning is done. We are here to become comfortable learning about this idea, which gains us access to some alignment with the Holy Spirit, so a connection to God, His mind. We are made in His image. We are a mind imagining. That's what I imagine. That we are holy in this way. This is why we are invulnerable. We do not have these demands of the flesh. As we affirm this idea, we step closer to the end of our learning, to the end of time, and we can view into the eternal, where we simply see that God is, of course, everywhere and in everything, absolutely forever, that He is never leaving His own mind. He is never separate from His own thoughts, and His thoughts are our thoughts, and suddenly we are imbued with direct communication with God at all times. And if we are creating everything we see in our holiness through our imagination, even if that is a challenging idea for us to assimilate upon imagining here as physical things, but if we are creating everything in our holiness and we are imagining, then everything we are creating, as we are created by God, is made of God. And we who are part of Him will yet look past all appearances and recognize the truth beyond them all. Lesson 57. Today let us review these ideas. 31. I am not the victim of the world I see. Please repeat this. I am not the victim of the world I see. How can I be the victim of a world that can be completely undone if I so choose? If you are a creator, you are not a victim. If you align yourself with victimhood, then you are done unto, and therefore the ego has control over you. If you deny this idea and be curious about another way of seeing things, the ego begins to lose its grasp. You can choose. This is your creation, to be able to choose, to build in darkness or to build in light. My chains are loosened. We are not in a prison anymore if we are the one creating the prison. I can drop them off merely by desiring to do so. That if we are creating with our minds, there is nothing truly physical or some process across time and space that we must actually do to undo something that is purely an illusion. They just disappear when we choose to see the light. It is that simple. But this truth and love and light is always there. There's no war happening. There's no arduous process to make it be meaningful. All of the meaning is simply there, waiting for us to see it and reflect back into us that we are full of meaning and purpose. We can do so just by desiring. The prison door is open. I can leave simply by walking out. Nothing holds me in this world. Only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. Perhaps this is the most challenging part. Imagine right now, you and I or someone we love or a wider group of people that we might be told by some corporate channel of media, some incentivized speaker. We are told that they are physically trapped, physically abused. This feels torturous. This is angering. We would imagine if we were assigning the option for someone else to tell us what we must be. But only my wish to stay keeps me a prisoner. Are these things not happening if we turn them off? I'm not sure. Are we incentivizing them less if we allow ourselves to be full of love? I am sure we are. Let us not be prisoners of our own minds, so we may have the energy, well-being, and creativity to help others free themselves. I would give up my insane wishes and walk into the sunlight at last. That if we could feel the freedom of our own sovereignty of mind, that we could see in truth rather than clamoring around in our sicknesses and our challenges, in relationships and work. If we simply were at peace, then we would be at peace regardless of what is happening around us, and we would be showing everything that's happening around us that we are at peace, and it is okay to settle where we are settling, that we are simply bringing it to you because the idea is always there. May we reflect this idea. May we give up our insane thoughts. May we move through with forgiveness and love the darkness that we are using to obfuscate the door behind it, to truth. May we simply walk through into the sunlight and enjoy seeing in true light. Please repeat after me. I am not the victim of the world I see. You are not the victim of the world you see. 32. I have invented the world I see. Please say it. I have invented the world I see. I made up the prison in which I see myself. How can that be? We must allow ourselves to assume the perspective of our mind, a spiritual plane beyond the body. Only then are we going to understand that we made up the prison in which we see, that we are building some idea with our own mind to limit the capacity of our own mind to see in truth. That is it. I have made up the prison in which I see myself. All I need do is recognize this, and I am free. Notice how we feel and let it go. We see the light that's below it, around us, on the other side, within us. All we need to do is let the idea go that we must be in some prison, a prison of our mind, and then we're free from that idea. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. When you read that statement or hear that statement, it sounds asinine. I have deluded myself into believing it is possible to imprison the Son of God. The Son of God. That we would have any capacity to truly lock this kind of being down, especially one that greeted us with patience, love, and kindness, cried on our behalf that we simply still do not know. This is the idea of Christ. This is how forgiveness is created. This is the idea of dying for someone else's sins. It's the idea of being under attack. And no matter what, choosing out of love and holiness and understanding, being connected to God, that he is never under attack. The idea that we, with a body identification, could imprison our spiritual mind outside of our body, it's laughable to hear. The Son of God must be forever free. Would that not be how God, eternal, in the realm of knowledge, creating the Son of God, you, in his image, would he not will it that you are absolutely free, possibly so free that you are allowed to imagine a world without love for as long as you wish? The length of time being how long it will be for you to wake up back to the idea that you have always been free, united with God in perfect peace and perfect safety. How could that be? Affirm your spirit identity. Affirm it as in feel it. We're not here to walk around and express a convenient set of words, a style of marketing ourselves that says we are awakened. We are here to see God's light, however that feels, whatever shape that takes, entering into our natural selves, recognizing our spiritual selves and genuinely feeling it. And we start with our discomfort of practicing it. I was bitterly mistaken in this belief that we could imprison the Son of God, which I no longer want. We don't want that. We wouldn't want it for the Son of God. That would be odd. It would be opposite of admitting that we are in love, that we know love, that we care about love. We would not want the Son of God imprisoned, especially if it is his will to just simply see truth and allow other people to see it too. He must be forever free. He is as God created him, and not what I would make of him. That we have no ownership over the Son of God, over this spiritual self, that we are the potential casting of our spiritual selves. Not that we are physically somehow creating it, unless you can show me how to create a mind. He is where God would have him be, and not where I thought to hold him prisoner. The idea that we can take our minds, the Son of God's mind, and lock it in darkness, and somehow we would be able to defeat God in this tug of war. The ego believes it's going to arm wrestle God and win, and God simply lets it believe that it is amassing as much power as it needs to win this feat of strength. That if it could just centralize everything and therefore dictate how it works, that it would have total power. But what would it be missing? It would be missing the truth. It would always be hiding. It would not know love and could never be satisfied. It is inevitably going to be destroyed. It will never even have to go to war with God. For why would he need to war from the eternal? Why? And how would you ever beat something like that? It is totally delusional. And that is why what we are seeing when we feel attacked thoughts are absolute illusions. Please repeat after me one more time. I have invented the world I see. You have invented the world you see. 33. There is another way of looking at the world. Please repeat this after me. There is another way of looking at the world. Since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribed to it, that we have been insisting that we know best. Again, laughable. This is all becoming far more funny than maybe we might have expected. That we assume somehow that we know better than the idea of wherever these atoms come from, wherever these compounds are created from some ether, whatever is creating those, and the possibility for them to be woven into absolutely anything that we can imagine and build with our hands. Somehow that we know better what to call the world and all these things, since the purpose of the world is not the one I ascribed to it, that we have been image making, declaring what meaning is, and therefore what purpose is, and therefore what is in our best interests, and somehow that we can do that without knowing the viewpoint of all things. There must be another way of looking at it. If we are not finding peace here, inside of this system, even if we were wrong, if that's such a thing, even if we were wrong, wouldn't we be right to say, I wonder, there's got to be a way, right, where I see peace? There must be some kind of way. I understand it doesn't exist in my world, my system, the ways that I am traumatized and punished and scared, depressed, coerced, threatened, violent. Even here, we wish for something different. If we didn't wish for anything different, we would be totally at peace being at war in all of its ways. But do people feeling like they are championing attacks, do they look like they are at peace? Do they feel like they are at peace? If we can notice this for a moment in ourselves, we might say, what if the way that I have been creating, or however it is that I have been forming, whatever the idea is of however I see life and society and myself, it's just stretches the brain completely. We're asking ourselves to wonder about height. If we lived in a world of only length and width, it's just absolutely outside of the entire system. But from 3D, thinking about it from here, it's a no duh. So if we weren't finding peace, and we could notice this in our lives, and we thought we were fighting for it, but we see how illogical it is to fight in the name of peace, it seems logical. If I could just stop you, then I will have peace. But would that be true as a net effect? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I tend to think that if we could offer what wanted to fight us peace, that it would have no reason to fight us. That feels more logical. It feels more natural. If we could wake up to this idea, we might just be able to be curious about height, living in our length and width world. We might just be curious about, if I already live in length, width, and height, then I propose, I have been feeling far before this book that love is our fourth dimension, that it cuts right through time and space. That we must be wondering about this idea that must exist. If we feel that we want more meaning and purpose than this, and we want more peace, then what would it be? No, it would be peace itself. It would be love, the unconditional love, the wholly unchanged, the truth. This could be our next dimension, another way of seeing the entire world around us. It would be in alignment, I suppose, with an idea that there is limitless, formless light within us that we cannot see. But if we could see it, if we could feel it, if we could understand the truth in all things, wouldn't we be looking right through everything? That love and light cuts right through everything. We could see a way that if we are not finding the peace that we want and we can wake up to its senselessness, then we might just dare stretch our minds with questions beyond the way that we realize we have decided to look at the world based off of everything around us. That would be a very far out thing. Literally. And that's why we're here. To wonder, to ask questions and see which answers get revealed. There's no threat in receiving the blessing of love if we can find it. True vision, requires no sacrifice of anyone. It may only bless. It is a blessing to give and to receive, and so we hope to find fullness, not because there is some relative power in having it and making sure others don't, but because we can specifically give what we don't have. And if we know what true fullness is and true vision is, we might start to discover that just like bringing our minds outside of our current system, we realize that even the laws that were inside of this current system do not apply outside of it in all ways. And this might be just the beginning. But if the laws do not apply, then I may be able to feel fullness and offer it to you and never, ever, ever be depleted of my fullness. Would that not be abundance? Or would you rather have yours in a line of credit that can be created out of thin air? What if it could be true money and true vision at the same time? So you can offer abundance in both realms to absolutely everyone and everything. Why can they not be aligned? There must be another way of looking at this. I see everything upside down, and my thoughts are the opposite of truth. I see the world as a prison for God's Son, a laughable idea. A laughable idea. Maybe great for a book narrative. But even if we could have this power, why on earth, on this world, would we want to create a prison for God's Son? Why? Why do we imagine we would be on the team that is trying to hide forgiveness, hide love, and hide the truth? What are we afraid of? It must be then that the world is really a place where he can be set free, that we are here to play. We are here to be alive. We are here to create. This is a free realm. That's why freedom rings so loudly. That's why when we give it up and we find ourselves slipping into disease as a country or a people, we seek it. We want to be well. We want to be able to grow our consciousness through our families, to see them be fed and happy and laugh. We want to enjoy whatever trials we end up creating ourselves to create more things so that we can do these things well. And if they're in an open market where people can truly vote on the value of something and other things cannot be bailed out with invisible money, and that we do not have to accept this idea, well, then the market would constantly vote in the direction of whatever gives it most value. And the ebb and flow would always come towards the median of everyone being raised up. Why would we imagine that we want this place to be, even if we could? Why would we want it to be an idea that cages God's Son and dims his light so that we can't notice it? Only the sickest would believe that they want this to be true. I would look upon the world as it is and see it as a place where the Son of God finds his freedom. You are free here. And if you do not feel it, go inside and ask yourself how you may, and realize that you are inside yourself, talking with yourself, dreaming of ideas of freedom. Welcome to your imagination. Perhaps you realize that as you are imagining here, your state of being is shifting. You are feeling peaceful. Or you can believe someone else who says that your imagination is fake and what they tell you is real. Please repeat after me. There is another way of looking at the world. You and I know that there is another way of looking at the world. 34. I could see peace instead of this. Please say this. I could see peace instead of this. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I have made up for it to obey. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I made up for it to obey. Imagine going outside, seeing the nature, tall trees. The temperature is manageable. And there's a slight breeze. And you can almost smell the air. And perhaps you have a dog running past and the sun is coming up. Do you feel free? Do you feel an opportunity? Do you feel the carpe diem, the idea that you want to seize the day? Not to take it, but we're here to experience it. What can I do? I feel alive. Where am I needed? Now imagine you live in a state. We'll make it a physical state in a sense, but it is your state of mind in which we are imagining. So imagine you live in a state where the state has control of all the resources in the name of your equity, that now you and your neighbors are equal, wearing the same clothes, living in the same size houses, in the same lines for bread, doing any job that you're told to do, receiving the same wage as if all efforts are equal. That there is no ladder to climb, and there is only punishment for not complying. This is your life. You are now equal, you imagine, amongst everyone. But some are more equal than others, because naturally there is energy in this world. And naturally there have been technologies which allow us to harness some of this energy to create things. And the state has taken away the free market feedback of what people value when they can freely exchange, and now they are dictating how it must go. So of course they must ration. Even if they wish they could give you abundance, they must ration. Because they are controlling all levers. They feel all powerful. But this is the opposite of God. That God, in the eternal realm of knowledge, has decentralized his experience to every mind, every node that is you and me. And those seeking a centralization of power are not creating freedom for each mind. They're creating extreme lack. If you wake up in this world and you see this place, which has no freedom, but it has equity, designed by someone else, and we are championing these ideas in the world today. If you felt this when you woke up, do you feel freedom? Do you feel a desire to be alive? Do you feel any meaning and purpose in whatever job you're going to do for the same pay as somebody else to buy the same things that you're told you're allowed to have and nothing else? Does that sound like a state of being or a state of mind that feels freeing? If you were here, would you not dream of a different way? Perhaps at least we would be able to wake up to see the insanity of what we have created, that what we are participating in, even if we do not see an easy way out. When I see the world as a place of freedom, I realize that it reflects the laws of God instead of the rules I have made for it to obey. Rulers making rules, telling some of us how it must be. God creating infinite freedom, the opportunity to build with light or to trick ourselves in darkness so we may learn. That's freedom. I will understand that peace, not war, abides in it. This is the laws of God. That peace abides in the laws of God. That war need not be applied inside of the laws of God. What will we be fighting over if everything that we are experiencing is infinite, formless, limitless? What could you possibly covet in a world like this? So in a mindset like this, what could we ever need? Truly, this is the direction that I believe we are being taken. That if we can see ourselves in this perspective, all of the laws of how we believe we must be preserving ourselves instantly disappear. That peace is the realm of our minds if we so choose to see it, and war is the realm of our minds if it's what we believe we have to deal with. I still see war all around me on the news, but I see peace often in my interactions, especially when I may notice myself and calm down. That people near me feel more uplifted. And when they have something to share, I can feel how I have been restrictive or just mindless. And in those moments, I feel less present, however less or more is. And therefore, I find myself confused, and therefore I find less ease in the flow of communication or doing things. And it could just be my mood for the day. The lack of patience, the need to speak rather than to listen, the gift of listening and learning, that I see reflections and opportunities for me to slow down and feel well. And that when this is somehow just happening, the right words appear. The intuitive feelings appear. Something is changing. And so perhaps, yes, I still am receiving content from people and places that says, all this is so bad and it's worse than we've ever expected. Maybe. But maybe all of it is testing our edges to say, given this, would you still choose peace? Will you still be quiet and calm? Not that you have to be tight and afraid to stand up, to speak up, but would you still do so from a place of love and acceptance and open-mindedness? Would you dare bring this with you, even considering this? So I don't know if I'm creating the tests or if this is part of just noticing how I have been contributing. And I will perceive that peace also abides in the hearts of all who share this place with me. That is where God's laws are, a place of freedom, where the natural state of being is peace, not war. Please repeat after me. I could see peace instead of this. You could, if you choose, see peace instead of what you are seeing. 35. My mind is a part of God's. I am very holy. Okay, would you please say this? My mind is a part of God's. I am very holy. Okay, all together. My mind is a part of God's. I am very holy. As I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself. Okay, we have permission to offer peace, probably through forgiveness with the people who are around us. And maybe it is easy to take brothers literally in the sense that if we have family, maybe we can begin offering them peace first, that they are part of the reason that we are here and how we have ever come to be, so we are grateful. And we can offer forgiveness for the ways that we have possibly wronged them or believed that we were wronged by them, that we are letting that idea go and wholly forgiving so we may feel the purification that comes with release. But as we are able to do this for someone else, we begin to realize something about us, that as I share the peace of the world with my brothers, I begin to understand that this peace comes from deep within myself, that some of these exercises have asked us to meditate in a sense and slip past all of the attack thoughts that would try to steal our attention. And where do we end up? Possibly meeting God and formless, limitless light. That in a meditation, if we are relaxed, sometimes we begin to not notice all of our thoughts, and we started to know something that upon awakening back into what we call real life felt kind of timeless. Where were we? What was that? Why was I so peaceful? Did you not feel content when you felt timelessness during a meditation, if you have felt it? That the peace comes from deep within ourselves. Where would be the deepest part of you? Imagine you think inward toward your abdomen. Possibly, yes, your dantian. Maybe. But what would be the deepest part of us as we sink inward? Well, I suppose it would be somewhere in our mind. For me, something about pulling my awareness physically further back in my mind brings me to some space where then I can relax into a state of being in that quote-unquote position. The physicality steps away and it becomes some state of mind. I become present here and it becomes a state of being. From there, yes, peace or timelessness and even the ability to assume perspective outside of that position, if I may only relax and not snap myself out of this place upon discovering it. Sometimes I have seen this, and I'm glad I am reminded of it here, doing these exercises. And perhaps I will give credence to a meditation that allows me to return to this space, so I can prove to myself that I know peace, and there is somewhere deep within me that this peace resides. Where is it? It's in some spiritual, invisible identity, some state of mind, truly in mind, not in body, even if body allows me to create the place where I believe it exists. But from where it exists, it seems to precede whatever the body is, reversing the laws of what I imagine must be true with my body identification. That this peace comes from deep within myself. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness and shines forgiveness back at me. Okay, the light of my forgiveness. We are offering light, truth, life when we forgive here. You have taken something from me, but you do not have anything for what you have taken. Therefore, you have taken nothing from me. And I recognize that what you believe you have is an illusion. I would like to offer you the truth. Because of this experience, I may offer you my forgiveness. And we do not need to be worried because nothing has been taken from us from the perspective of us offering our forgiveness. It is a blessing to offer it. How ultimately holy of you to offer someone who, from a different perspective, had totally wronged you and violated you. How holy of you to see them in light, to offer them love and light and see them also in your holiness. How fulfilling, how full of you. The world I look upon has taken on the light of my forgiveness. You are offering lightness, levity. You are raising yourself up, levitating in the light, no longer imprisoned by the darkness, and you become full for it. It shines forgiveness back at me. Shines. Seeing in truth and seeing in light, when we are seeing it shined back at us. If our thoughts are causes, I would like to be released of this. I wish to forgive this person. I am forgiving this person. This person is forgiven. That we feel a new way. That our thoughts, our state of mind has changed. This trickles down to the effects. The single source of truth has been updated. So we must see differently because we have just declared and accepted that we no longer see this thing that way. That we are done with it. It is not serving me or the other person. So we offer ourselves and them light, love, acceptance, which specifically violates the way that we thought we must be seeing the world. So therefore, how we are seeing the world is now different. And the effects of that world will be different. Because when we face even the same idea, sorry, but we see this differently than how I demanded I must have seen it before. So automatically, everything that we are seeing is different. It just is different. It just is. That's the truth. That's the holy, unchanged, the unconditional love that we are noticing. That we simply just do not see it that way if it tries to present itself that way. And therefore, we offer it love and acceptance, and whatever that idea is, that immoral entity, whatever it is, that alignment with the ego, if we're giving it some kind of personification, it will realize that we are not a safe place for it to land. We are not corruptible the same way. We will not give in by giving up our sovereignty of mind. There's no power there for us anymore. Instead, we choose light. We want to build in the name of light and love. This is what is being reflected, that we need light for this reflection is being reflected back at us. So we give forgiveness, we receive forgiveness. We give the opportunity for wholeness. We give the opportunity to no longer be mesmerized by illusion or spectacle alone. And we receive the opportunity for wholeness, the opportunity to no longer be mesmerized by illusion, to no longer be mesmerized by spectacle alone. It is a blessing to give and to receive. That's what miracles teach us. In this light, I begin to see what my illusions about myself kept hidden. Here's the light. There wasn't one here before, or so we thought, but now we at least have a flashlight. This room is dirty. It's time to clean up. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, including myself and their oneness with me. That when the light begins to be noticed, remember, it is just on the other side of the darkness that we are creating, of the image we believe must exist so that we exist as if we could only exist that way, but that would be out of alignment with the infinite. You are created in perfection. In perfection. You are holy. You are of God, and God would want you to be well. It is His will that you live in truth, that you are free. You are so free that you may step away from the absolute divine, the ever unchanging truth, and the unconditional love. You are allowed to leave it. I'm over here now in darkness so that I may learn to get closer to the light. What a gift. We are allowed to, quote unquote, punish ourselves and go nowhere so that we can wake up to what simply is right here still, so that we may learn and experience the joy and beauty and bliss and excitement and happiness of waking up to love. That is how free you are. I begin to understand the holiness of all living things, that they are made in your mind, in your imagination. And if you cannot accept that now, we can accept that having a peaceful state of mind does change or incentivize us to see the world differently. That there is another way of looking at the world. That you have invented the world you see, and therefore you need not be a victim of it. You could see peace instead of this. You could see holiness. You could understand it in all living things, including yourself. And therefore, their oneness with you. Suddenly, everything is linked. Nothing is separate. We no longer need to demand that I have this shape. The door has that shape. The window has this shape. Instead, my dog, these dogs, the trees outside, the sun, they are all imbued with my holiness, enveloped in my holiness, or at least God's. That if we can see it that way, perhaps even literally, as literal as this might still be at that point, even literally we may see the light within them, never to be tricked again. That would be an idea of perfect peace, that everywhere we go, we could just simply see everything for its holiness, for its process. And if we could see it with our eyes in a physical sense from a body identification, we would never unsee it again. Perhaps it is so simple once it is seen. The holiness of all living things, including myself, and their oneness with me, that we are actually here for one universal divine purpose, for celebrating the truth. And then from there, as a free Son of God, unbound from any kind of prison of darkness, free again and aware of this freedom, now we can create with peace, with abundance and truth and love. Please say this one more time. My mind is part of God's. I am very holy. I am Kesten Rono. I am determined to see. I am sustained by the love of God. See you tomorrow. Please be well.